So, in our quest to know spiritual truth, we often must grapple with how two seemingly opposite ideas or experiences can be both true at the same time. Our human mind tends to operate in that either or, yes, no, right, wrong, up, down mode. But the big questions of life, just for you, don't usually fit into that model. To begin to explore those questions that are beyond our human experience, we are called to deal with the paradoxes, looking at them as both and. How two seemingly opposite ideas can both be true. We grapple with the idea that God, the creator of all, is both infinite and somehow finite. God created everything and yet chooses not to be in control at all. God, who is both around us and within us. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore writes that God is the ultimate unchanging law of the universe, and a law, like mathematics, doesn't change depending upon the circumstances or who we are or how well we've behaved. The absolute good, the infinite source of all being, unchanging principle. And God is a personal, loving father, mother, who cares for us, who is part of our day-to-day life, guides us, and sustains humanity. The coexistence of the impersonal principle and the personal father-mother is not a contradiction, but a divine paradox that reflects the wholeness of God. Likely, the biggest paradox that we deal with in our lives is that of life and death. When our bodies die, are we still alive? How can both be true? Jesus often uses the story or a parable to help people understand the really hard concepts, the ones that are difficult for us to grab hold of. So I'm bringing back my parable that I created several years ago. I call it the parable of change. So when you arrived, you should have been offered a piece of chocolate when you came in. Yes, if you didn't receive one, you can raise your hand and maybe they'll come and bring you one. If you're watching at home, you can grab some of that leftover Halloween candy if you have it, or if you don't do chocolate, just use your imagination in this. It all happens in mind anyway. So as you take out your piece of chocolate or whatever it is you're going to do, know that the kingdom of heaven is like this piece of chocolate. We can look at it, we can feel it. It seems solid to our touch and to our sight. And yet, when you take a bite of it, and you can go ahead now, for those of you who've been holding off, when you take a bite of it and you move it around in your mouth, slowly it begins to become liquid. It's still chocolate. It's simply changed form. And I believe this is exactly what happens when our bodies die. The soul, occupying that body, simply changes form. It moves into a higher vibration that no longer interacts in this physical world through the five senses. The soul moves into a higher vibration in the world of spirit. You know, when Jesus was resurrected, he was often described as looking like people knew him to look, but was in almost this ghost-like state. It was a state that could move through walls. It was a state that, while it looked like him, it was vibrating at a much higher level than people were accustomed to interacting with him. Many cultures and religions have different ideas about what happens when the body dies. Going back some 3,000 years, I won't even get into the Egyptians. They had a whole thing. They had a whole book that you had to follow so that you could be resurrected every night and come back into this. But about 3,000 years ago with the Aztecs, and continuing today in many Latin communities, there is a celebration called Dia de los Muertos. My mouth just does not want to say that. These cultures believe on the Day of the Dead, which is the English translation of it. The thin veil between the spirit world and the human world is dissolved on this one time of the year. And during this brief period, the souls can return to the living world to connect with and to feast and to dance and to laugh and to have this time with their loved ones. And in turn, the living human family members treat these souls as honored guests in their celebrations. There are traditional altars that are built with pictures and decorations, sometimes lights, sometimes some nice treats that they can join in and feast with them. There's often marigolds, and those bright colors of the marigolds and the strong scent that they give off are believed to guide those spirits to the space where that altar has been set up. And the butterflies, whose annual migration to Mexico just happens to coincide with this time of year, so this is the time where in that region of the world the butterflies are abundant, remind us of life's transformations. The butterfly goes through its own transformation. In fact, changes physical form that we can see and then moves on into that higher vibration. Food is offered to nourish them as they make this journey to their loved ones. Many in unity believe that it's possible to continue to connect with our loved ones in the spirit world. How many of you think that's possible? A lot of people do. That we can navigate this paradox of different forms of life when we live and move ourselves into that higher vibrational energy of that divine love. When we can focus that, especially in our heart space, because we no longer connect with them by necessarily audibly hearing them or feeling them, although sometimes we can do that energetically, but it's through the high vibration of love in our heart that we make that connection with them. So in our meditation today, we're going to allow each of you to have an opportunity to honor in whatever way works for you and remember those that are in the spirit world. Some have brought pictures of them, but it really is about a heart connection. In a few moments, the ushers are going to invite you to come forward to the altar and to light a candle, and in this case, we're doing it by pushing the button from one side, pick it up, push the button to the other side, in memory of those who are beyond the veil, those ones who are now in spirit form. And as you're doing this, to invite them here, to invite them into this experience with you today, into your mind, into your heart, for a time of remembering and celebrating them. We're going to take a moment before we begin that process just to bring that love and to try and raise the vibration of our heart. And then as you go through this flow, whether you're sitting there waiting for your turn or once you've lit your candle, you can spend the rest of the time as others are doing that, just feeling that connection heart to heart. To be in that time of contemplation and remembrance, to bring to your own mind and to your heart the times of love and laughter spent with them. So as we begin this time, I would just invite you can close your eyes for a few minutes so that you can bring all of your attention inward. And as you just take a few deep breaths, Imagine that that divine love that is everywhere present, that is as close as the very air that you breathe, is now filling your heart, raising the energy of this physical being into a higher vibration. Divine love is the highest vibration that we can carry. And then as the ushers begin to invite you row by row, you might want to keep your eyes open just to be aware of when it's your opportunity to come. Hold that energy of love throughout this meditation time as we listen to this music. And just take a moment now to ask any questions, to receive what these loved ones are here to share with you, or simply to just feel them, almost as if there are angel wings surrounding and enfolding you, filling you with the awareness that that divine love always will keep us connected. Send a wave of gratitude for this time of remembering and honoring, and for those who have gathered here with us in the spirit form to celebrate this day. And then take another deep breath with me, and as you let that breath go, begin to bring your attention back to this time and to this space, and to allow the beauty of this altar to fill your heart as we move through the rest of the service. Yeah, sometimes the tears flow, and that's okay too. That just means that the love is flowing at a very deep level within us. So last week, our guest for the movie screening of Wolf's Message was all about this particular understanding of how deeply interconnected that we are. Suzanne Giesemann shared that since she had become engaged with connecting with those in spirit, that she's come to believe through these interactions that there is absolute proof that the soul, some call it the consciousness, that part of us that is aware and awake to who we are and our true nature, continues to exist beyond the death of the body. Consciousness extends beyond the brain and exists independent of it. Consciousness is eternal in nature. Therefore, life continues beyond that transition that we call death. All things are interconnected in this grand web of creation. And the organizing principle of the cosmos and the overarching purpose of evolution is one thing: for all of us to be in that space of unconditional love. I've had any number of experiences that have borne these statements to be true in my own life. As I was sitting here going through this process, I had Mary's voice pop into my head, and she said, "Lynn," which is what she often called me, "Lynn," she said, "this was my favorite thing we did. We did this in 2022. I think it's the only other time we've done it." And she said, "But little did I know that I'd be on the table versus visiting the table." And she laughed. She thought it was quite humorous. I'm like, okay. So for me, the awareness that our deceased loved ones are as close as our thoughts brings me great peace. Knowing I will connect and see them at whatever way that happens in the world of spirit again brings me immense comfort and healing. And my prayer for you today is that you also feel that same comfort and peace in knowing that the connection with those across the veil can never be broken. At all moments, they are just but a thought, a heartbeat away. And this relationship continues, just in a different form. Our time and our opportunity to share of our financial good with this community, it is through your generous gifts that we can do all that we are called to do. Today, we're going to go back old school again. We're going to pass the basket since we've got all this happening up here. So in just a minute, you'll see the basket come by, and you can place your gift in it or just hold your hand over it to add your energy to it, or use one of the little committed giving cards if you give electronically. And we are so grateful for the many ways in which we receive our good and are able to share that good back out into the community. So I invite you to hold whatever you are sharing today, or the energy of it, in your hands and in your heart as we join together and bless it. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God. And so as we go into this day, into this week, we stay connected in our hearts and in our minds to those who are beyond the veil, and we express that love to those who we encounter day by day, moment by moment, for it is the energy of divine love that connects us all. We know that as we also know our prayer for protection. We'll say it as a call and response. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Let's say it together. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.